Welcome to an episode of You Haven't Read What? I'm Krista.
And I'm Christina. Join us to explore unique genres, childhood favorites, and literary classics as we dive into each other's favorite reads.
Where one of us is very familiar with the book, the other is reading for the very first time. Let's go!
Hello!
Hello!
How are you?
Well, we're both a little loopy and tired.
Yeah, it's a little late. Oh well. I think it's one of the best parts about doing the movies and then podcasting right after is that
we're a little loopy.
Yeah. Like it makes for a little more fun, whatever. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
It is. And this is a little different. So in real time life, we haven't seen each other for 2 weeks.
Longer than that. Because I was
Almost 3
in
weeks?
Wisconsin for 2.5.
Yeah, you're right.
So just after the girls got out of school.
We turned tail.
Yeah.
So I'll
You
start.
guys left.
We turned tail the next morning.
Yep.
Surprised the kids and went to Disneyland.
Yep.
And when I mean surprise them, I mean put them to bed like it was a normal night and woke them up at 5 a.m. and said, "Don't ask questions. Get dressed and get in the car."
Right.
And it was funny because Thing One rolled over and looked over and she's like, "Are we going skiing?" I'm like, "Honey, it's May. Like it's the end of May. Like they're technically still skiing available, but no." She's like, "Good. I don't think my legs could do that." And I was in my head, I'm like, "No, but you're about to walk a marathon." Like,
so
good
funny.
luck.
Right.
And then we got in the car and she goes, "Are we going camping?" I was like, "No, good guess, but no." And we got to the airport and she's like, "Okay." And of course, by now, Thing 2 is awake and he's like,
Right.
"Ooh, like we're going to get on a bus and an airplane." And his day is made. Like he's
Yeah,
good.
for sure.
We could have turned around and gone back home and he'd be happy. But yeah, got on a plane and it was the funniest thing because she's still, again, Thing 2, he's 3. He doesn't get it yet. Like
Right.
he's just half awake and he's excited to be getting on an airplane. He
Yeah.
knows he gets his tablet. Like life is good. TSA pulled her bag off to the side. So of course she's standing next to me. And he opens her bag and flips it open. She sees all the Disney stuff on top. And she does a slow turn to me. Kind of like that Chris Pratt Parks and Rec gif, if you know what I'm talking about. Just that slow. And she's like, "We're going to Disney." And I said, "Yes, but you don't know which one." He's like, "World? Is it land or is it a cruise?" And she does this deep eye roll and goes, "You would never plan a cruise without me knowing." I was like, "You're not wrong."
That's so funny.
But yeah, we landed in LA by like 9 a.m. and we dropped crap at the hotel and beeline to the park and had 3 great days in the park and had perfect weather and no lines, shockingly, for Memorial Day weekend.
Right.
We were planning like, we'll do what we do, but this is going to suck 'cause it's Memorial Day weekend. No lines. Go to Disneyland. Actually, don't. We might do that again.
Right.
There are no lines.
Yeah.
It's because California's not out of school yet.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And so I learned from a cast member, actually 2 different cast members said the same thing. Disney World and Disneyland are flipped.
Okay.
So Disneyland is 80% pass holders and 20% tourist. Disney World is 20% pass holders and 80% tourist.
Okay.
So at Disneyland, Memorial Day weekend with kids still in school, people aren't going to come to the park. It got busy around dinner. And she's like, most pass holders like come and eat dinner, watch the fireworks, and go home.
Right.
Like that's a life.
Right. Wouldn't it be fun?
Nah, not worth living in California. But yeah, it was one of those fascinating. I was like, oh, well, that's cool.
That is cool.
But then we came back and then you left.
Yeah. Well, we did do one last episode. And then
that's right.
on that Tuesday night, because you were a little loopy because you had just got back off the plane and work and all that. And then, I left the next day and we've been gone. And then I took water to Wisconsin for 2.5 weeks. I painted almost the entire inside of Cassie and Scott's house.
With their permission.
Well, yeah.
In their colors of choice.
Well, let's just say Cassie said, "Okay, you're painting while I'm here," which was already planned weeks in advance. Scott, not so much, didn't know. He just like came home. He's like, "Oh, things are different." Okay. So,
that's funny.
But I painted my niece's bedroom, and then I painted the entire stairwell area.
Ooh, that's tricky.
Yeah. There was 3 feet around the stair because I only had an extension ladder and a 2-step step stool.
Oh, no.
And I had like 3 feet right in the middle that I couldn't quite reach. And so I did a little sketchy sketch, but
you got creative.
yeah, sure. We'll go
OSHA
with
wasn't
that.
involved. It's fine.
No, OSHA was definitely not involved.
But then you
Yeah, and then so
turned around and
well, yeah, but Bob came out first.
Yes.
For Scott's birthday, so we surprised him. He had no idea.
happy belated birthday.
Yeah, and then I came. We decided to stay an extra day than we had planned.
Nice.
So we came back on Sunday instead, 16-hour drive, and we did everything on that Monday, and then we flew out on Tuesday.
For DC.
Yeah, to DC to visit my little brother and his wife and their little new one that I hadn't met yet.
Little squish.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. So a lot of long trips and everything, but we're back and
Now
we
it's
got back
hotter
yesterday.
than Hades here.
Yeah. But
It's
when
real
this
warm.
comes about in August,
So this
it'll
comes
be
out,
after my
this is-
birthday.
This is fitting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So happy early birthday to you. Belated birthday by the time this comes out. This is weird.
Right.
We're doing time warp here. So tonight, as we talked about last week, we watched When Harry Met Sally. Neither one of us had watched this movie
Nope.
before.
We've never seen it.
This was new for both of us.
Yep.
And it's funny because again, the book we just finished was
There's no coming back from this.
Dogs making this movie.
Yep.
And it's funny because when this comes out on August 11th, is what we call in our family Forever Home Day.
Yeah.
So our very first rescue dog, Astro, we knew his birthday for real because we knew his previous owner.
Right.
And so his birthday was August 11th. And so every other rescue we've had since then, since we don't know their birthdays, we've set to August 11th.
Okay. That's awesome.
It's like schwack the desk. Clearly out of practice. And so, so this is Forever Home Day for our pup. So
That's
today,
awesome.
as y'all are listening to this, our pups are now our Lolly and our 2.
Yeah.
Getting their pup cups and whipped cream, and Lolly's hiding under the bed somewhere.
Hopefully by then she's way more interactive.
Maybe.
Because R2 is definitely the crazy one of the two.
He is. He is now. He's a sweet boy. But
Yeah.
you're going to meet him tomorrow.
Oh, yep.
So anyway,
So,
should we talk about our overall impressions, or should I do some quick fast facts?
okay, so let's do our overall impressions and then we'll do
Cool.
the facts. I definitely had to look up a couple of things during this movie because I was like, oh, I am curious about certain things.
Yep.
Imagining this movie throughout the entire thing as dogs being recreated with handlers.
It doesn't work.
Was very interesting.
It doesn't
It
work.
was so certain parts I was like, oh, I could kind of see that. But then I'm kind of like, okay, but how are they talking? How are they saying?
handlers talking?
Maybe.
Or is there subtitles?
But could you imagine them having the handler do Meg Ryan's orgasm scene?
We both said that in karaoke. Those are the two things.
I was just like, okay, well, I guess we'll figure out how that would work. But I was like, okay. Yeah. But imagining the outfits and all of that
the
on
tweed.
the dogs. Yeah.
There's so much tweed.
I know. It's definitely 80s.
Very
80s throwback. But yeah, so what was your overall thought?
So I tried to focus less on dogs making the movie.
Oh, okay.
And just overall, I was like, it's a really cute movie.
It is, yeah.
It's obviously, besides clothing and decor and stuff, it's aged really well.
Yeah.
It's cute. It's not too overly 80s cliche.
Yeah.
I mean, it is pretty cliche, I guess is the word I'm looking for. There are parts, but it's cute.
I don't get so thinking back to the 80s, obviously we were both born at the very end of the 80s.
Born the year the movie came out.
I was the year before. It's one of those things where I was kind of like, while they dress that way, they have their hair, whatever. It wasn't throw it in your face 80s, if that makes sense.
Minus the one side ponytail.
Well, yeah, for sure.
That was bad.
At the New Year's Eve party. Yeah. But other than that, it wasn't oh, let's wear super bright clothes and let's do all of these things.
Go around roller skates.
Right, exactly. It wasn't
We're going to speed walk, but there's no roller skates.
True. There's that speed walk with Billy Crystal's legs. Woo! and the oversized sweatshirt. It's like,
That looked like chicken legs.
did. I was like, oh, okay. But it's
This
just
is what we used to
it
do.
didn't totally feel like it was a classic movie, but it didn't feel like it was anything that you wouldn't have watched
Now.
today in a way.
Yeah.
Like obviously there's, the way that they shot the movie and all of those super close-ups,
Oh my
especially
God.
when making out.
Give them some space.
I know, right? But like other than that, like you don't really notice any of that. So
Yeah. We both giggled at a couple of awkward transitions
Yeah.
that we don't do that like freeze frame and then into the next thing anymore.
yeah,
You kind of
it's
just
more like a fade
just
or
roll
just
into it or
Yeah.
whatever. Like, yeah, there's a couple of those funny freezes. It was like,
Yeah.
that's choppy now.
yeah.
But yeah, no, like I said, the story overall and the acting, I mean, phenomenal actors.
Oh,
like
for
you
sure.
can't beat Meg Ryan, Carrie Fisher, and
And Billy Crystal.
Billy Crystal. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no. I mean, like the actors are phenomenal.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's part of the reason why the movies age so well.
Yeah.
Because again, they're not like, I don't know, overly cliche and like leaning too hard into
Right,
things. Like
yeah.
they are very natural.
Yeah.
I'm like, I like it.
So this movie was born in 1989.
Born in.
Yeah, well,
I mean, so was I.
I say that with houses too and whatnot. I'm like, whatever. Because essentially it's being born, like,
Very differently.
it's being thrust into the world.
Sure, we'll go with that. There's a lot of time and tears that go into it, I'm sure.
True that. A lot of pain, a lot of sweat, a lot of blood. It's all
Hopefully
this
not.
into making a house
Oh, well, hopefully not.
or like a movie.
Or a movie.
Yeah.
Depends on the movie.
Right, exactly. Anyway,
Hollywood blood.
it was rated R in that year. I can kind of see
I can
why.
kind of see it. I still debate if it would be now.
Right. I wonder if there's a way to gauge that. Like, because I know that past
Like rating
things,
scales.
yeah, were a little bit different than they are
Yes.
now. Like you see butts and everything in a PG-13 movie. Now this was, more like talking about sex and a little bit of cursing, but not a
Drop
whole
the
lot.
F word once.
Yeah, like it's not like super crazy. So
Yeah.
I
mean,
kind
it's
of
not Deadpool.
right. But I would have thought this would be more like as today, maybe a PG-13 movie.
I think I agree. I think,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's no nudity. There's no like other kinds of things like that. Obviously the orgasm scene.
Oh my God, it's just hysterical.
Oh, hilarious. Yep.
Hysterical.
But I think like
I love the
if we
look she
were-
gives him afterward.
Right.
Told you.
Right.
Anyway, sorry.
But yeah, like I think if we were rating it this now,
I-
it'd be closer to a PG-13.
It might.
Yeah.
It might. Yeah. It could be one of those that like the crew comes in and is like, hey, just get rid of that one F word and now you're PG-13. Like,
Right. Yeah.
who knows?
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, that's funny. So some of the other quick facts I looked up before the movie the intro credits are rolling because that's
Yeah.
still a thing.
Yep.
I was like, oh boy, here we go. The original name for the movie were Scenes from a Friendship.
Oh. Okay.
Behind that, it was also Boy Meets Girl, which I thought was funny
Yeah.
because obviously a couple years later, Boy Meets World became a show
Right.
for Disney. It Had to Be You and Harry, This Is Sally.
Okay.
Which reminds me a little bit of
Yeah.
how I Met Your Mother. There's a joke in there. So I thought all of those were interesting. I mean, I guess Harry, This Is Sally is close enough to When Harry Met Sally. But,
Yeah.
and then the producer hated the intro credits, the font that they picked.
Oh.
He hated it, but they
Okay.
couldn't find anything better. It had already gone into post and it was too late.
Yeah.
So yeah, he hated that. I thought it was funny. Again, very 80s with the credits rolling on the black
Right,
screen at the
yep,
front. Gives
yep.
me Air Force One vibes.
Yeah, well, and I commented while that was happening that the song sounded familiar. It was
Yes.
definitely something that like I'd listened to before, but again, I'd never seen the movie. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like elevator music.
right? Exactly.
The cafe, we talked about what is now known as the famous orgasm scene,
Yeah.
is New York Delications. I may have spelled that wrong. I'll have to look that up. It's in Lower Manhattan. Lower Manhattan, and it's open 24 hours. Still there. There's a sign over the booth that said, "This is where Harry met Sally." You can go and visit it.
That's awesome.
Which is funny because that's not really where they met. But
right.
it's a funny, like, this was their booth.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, you can go visit if you're in Manhattan.
There you go.
I've been there a couple times, but obviously I hadn't seen the movie.
Right.
Otherwise, maybe I would have stopped in. That would have been kind of cool.
Yeah.
I took a picture of the friend's apartment. Yeah, the exterior shot.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the other thing I thought was kind of interesting is Princess Diana held a private screening of this movie with her girlfriends when it came out. She was so excited. She loved it.
That's awesome.
So then she went to the London premiere and met all of the cast because she loved it so much.
Oh, so cool.
That's pretty sweet.
Oh, yeah.
There was a picture online. You can Google it. It's very easy to find of Princess Diana shaking Meg Ryan's hand. Meg Ryan looks like the look on her face is like, oh my God.
Right.
It's pretty awesome. But yeah, it was quickly her and her girlfriend's like favorite movie of the time that she
That's awesome.
put that much into it to get a private screening and then showed up at the premiere to meet everyone.
That's amazing. Like, I know that a lot of actors and actresses don't get as like star struck as much. Like they do, but they don't necessarily like
I think it also depends if you're more of a British, I'm going to say European actor versus a straight American born actor.
Yeah, for sure.
That's very different.
Yeah. But like being able to meet Princess Di would have been a starstruck moment. Pretty sweet. For sure. Yeah.
Meg Ryan is actually a picky eater, so they wrote that in. I was like, I feel that. I am too.
Gosh.
But she's actually a really picky eater, and they thought it was funny.
Okay.
And they thought next to Carrie Fisher, she was a little bit too attractive, so that's why they put glasses on her. To help pull down the attractive level. And I'm like, I'm not sure it did that. Those were kind of cute glasses.
They were super cute.
And then in the original script, they were not supposed to end up together.
Oh.
Hence, scenes from a friendship.
Okay, that makes more sense.
That was the original plot. They did not end up together. They were just friends.
Yeah.
They became friends again.
I kind of feel like I could have seen that happen with that movie. Like that would have made, like I think if that had been what it was, that would have still been a good ending. It would have still been a great movie and it would have ended well.
Yeah, I agree.
So
I was like, I don't think they could have gone wrong with that one.
No.
And they mostly rewrote it because of their on-screen chemistry towards each other.
Yeah.
They're like, this is too good. Like we can't not have these two end up together.
Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Okay. So I looked up a couple of things, not based on true story.
No.
But
besides the interviews.
Yes, the interviews, they do incorporate stories, those interviews, which we talked at the very end. Because I was like, I paused the credits as we were like looking at them. And I was like, not a single one of those couples' last name was the same.
Which for how old they would have been, that would have been a thing.
Right.
Like you had to change your last name.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah, I just whacked my funny bone on the table.
We're out of practice, guys. Sorry.
But yeah, like I was like, that's really weird. And then so she
at the exact same time was Googling, are the interviews real? And they're like, they're real stories. Yeah. They're real couple stories and histories. Mm-hmm. Portrayed by actors.
Yeah.
For a little bit of theatrical flair.
Which I found interesting because a lot of those couples look like they would have gone together in a way.
They were also cute.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I would have totally guessed them to be husband and wife or like whatever.
Actually, the one that kept interrupting the guy to give the details.
Yep.
We met at this hotel and she's like, he was on the 3rd floor. I was on the 12th. Like she just keeps interjecting. I was like, that's funny.
Yeah, that one was definitely by far my favorite. And then there is actually a book written by Nora Ephron, that is Harry Met Sally. I did not know that. So maybe at some point we'll have to read it to do a little follow-up, but to see what the differences between the movie and the book are. But yeah, I was like, okay, that's interesting. But yeah, I mean, I picked this because like the book that we just finished reading, there's no coming back from this. Like they make the dogs like recreate this movie. So I was like, oh, this would be a perfect movie since, it works. But yeah, there's actually a book. So.
I want to see the dogs driving.
Oh, right.
From Chicago to New York.
Exactly.
Get out at the diner.
See. Okay. So here's like the very beginning. I even write, I'm like, how do they know each other and why are they carpooling? And like, obviously he's a boyfriend of
her,
Amanda,
quote unquote, best friend.
Right. But like, why are they carpooling?
I think that's just what you
How did that
back-
happen?
I think it was I know someone heading that way.
Right. Okay.
Like,
maybe.
Yeah.
But I think that was the only real like loose end at the very beginning.
80s Uber.
You're right.
I have a friend of a friend.
Right. Yeah. It was just that one part, like at the very beginning, where I'm like, but how do they know each other? Like, how do they
So in
just
fairness,
connect that way?
they also just graduated from college.
Right.
So as I remember this, is as the last week of college, there were a lot of people in my college, like hooking up, not as in the, relationship way, but like hooking up with each other about where are you going? Or like every spring break, there's a couple times like Tim's roommate gave me a ride to Phoenix. 'Cause I didn't have a car and he lived in Phoenix. So he would just kind of throw up, be like, hey, if anybody's heading to Phoenix for spring break, go to Sky Harbor. I'll give you a ride now.
Okay.
Of course, we had like MySpace and stuff back then.
Right.
And actually we did have Facebook, barely. But like, yeah. And so it was kind of spread word and he would fill his truck. Then he got gas money out of it. And like, it was kind of a win-win.
Right. Now,
So,
okay.
From a college perspective, I'm like, I can see it because everyone is going somewhere. Like everyone's dispersing.
Right.
So.
Okay. So a couple of things that I noted at the beginning: the grape seed spitting thing. Ugh. Ew. Gross.
Get
I
out
can't
of my
believe
car.
she didn't say anything.
Get out of my car.
Right.
So Tim likes sunflower seeds on road trips.
See,
and I was like, you cannot spit these out the window.
My dad does too, but he does a water bottle, like an empty water bottle, and then he just spits them into the water bottle.
Tim does now.
Okay, yeah.
Did it when we started dating, and it drove me nuts because then I get out of the car and they'd be plastered down the side of the car. And I'm like, okay, you can't do that anymore.
Yeah,
he's like, I got a cup, it's fine.
Right.
I was also like, we're driving to Kansas and it's 102. And you're a
Right.
Seattle girl, can't do that.
Yeah, no, no.
We quickly, windows up, bottle for shells.
Right. So at the very beginning, Billy Crystal. So through the movie, Billy Crystal is 41. And he's playing the freshly out of college 21, 22-year-old.
Was he wearing a wig?
He was not. But
that's impressive.
They had so much makeup on him to like bring down the baby, like to give him the babier face.
Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting because I was like, he looks so old still. But at the same time, like...
He had to age.
Yeah, he had to be able to age. Whereas, like, Meg Ryan, while, yes, she still had to age the 10 years.
She didn't age at all.
She doesn't look it, but it's the hairstyle that ages with her.
And clothing a little bit.
Yes. But also, women don't age as much as men sometimes, not always.
Yeah, fair.
So I think that would be why they didn't necessarily portray her aging as much.
I thought it was an interesting choice to start with kind of the, I'm going to call it the like crimped curly hair.
Oh, yeah.
Go to a straight and then go back to the curly. I wonder if that's just her natural hair, like kind of what she wanted. And they were like, well, we'll go back to that. It seems like it almost would have aged her more if she had ended at the straight hair.
Yeah, I think so too.
Would've.
Yeah, because that hairstyle was not flattering.
It was very 80s.
It was like kind of curly right at the chin. And I was like, not my favorite. Not her.
That was my hair.
Have you ever
Most of my
seen
childhood.
Casablanca?
No.
Okay, me neither. So I didn't get any of the references.
get those.
And they watched that movie throughout the entire movie multiple times, and they talked about it a lot.
They talked about it a lot.
I will have to probably look at that and watch that one at some point.
Yeah.
So Sally and Joe were total high school. I love you after a month.
Yeah. Yeah. And I did that like I wrote down, I was like, who dates for 5 years? Like, that's a long time. When you told somebody, I love you right away and all of that.
Yeah.
And then it was like, oh, we didn't want to get married. I was like, oh, now, okay. Thank you for giving the backstory.
Right. Yes,
like,
definitely.
that's a long time.
Yeah, for sure.
But especially when everyone else is getting married after 3 months. I was like, good Lord.
Yeah.
Settle down.
Yeah, they're friends. Jess and why can't I think of Carrie Fisher's character name?
Ann. Mary?
Murray.
Marie.
Yeah.
There you go.
They got married after, so they moved in together at 4 months.
Yes.
And then they got married at about 8-ish.
Yeah.
I would say.
Whew.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wouldn't have minded the wagon wheel table.
In fairness, it fits more in Colorado than it does in New York City.
Does,
but
for sure.
I like his label all your books now before you forget. And I was like, Which is also a note I made. Every single apartment that we got shown had a crap ton of books.
Yeah,
it did. That's just not houses anymore. And it makes me kind of sad.
Yeah.
They have these beautiful built-ins around the fireplace and then into his office or his den, as he called it.
Yeah.
He saying,
that was a
den.
big apartment for New York. But I would assume back then it would have been bigger than now, too. So.
Yeah. And it, at that point, is 2 incomes.
True.
I thought Billy Crystal's apartment, when he's by himself, that's empty. I was like, that's a big apartment for a single guy.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Allergies are killing me. I'm sorry. Went on a hike this morning and like pollen everywhere.
Yeah, I know, right? It's really bad.
I like that he reads the last page of books first.
I kind of do too sometimes.
We have a good family friend that does that. Reads the last chapter.
Yeah, I am a last chapter reader a lot of the time. Or I will skip through, like I'll keep my normal page up. So like on Kindle, you can keep your page up at the very bottom. It's just smaller. And then you can still kind of read the page that you like skip towards or whatever. I'm always looking for the good bits because like sometimes the things that go in between all the good bits is boring. And so I just kind of like skip ahead until I find something interesting and then I'll read that. And then I'll read sometimes I'll read several pages with the smaller font because you've got the double page going on and stuff like that. And so I'm just like I'm just reading and
you heathen.
I know. Bob hates the fact that I always read like a crazy person. So so pulling out the Rolodex for me was such a flashback.
Yes.
Because we had Rolodexes in our house.
Yeah. Oh yeah. My mom had a like a notebook. Oh, you went to the notebook to look up somebody's phone number. Yeah, it was just listed.
Yeah. No, we had the Rolodex and we had the Rolodexed floppy disks.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Yep.
There's a flashback.
I know, right? But I can kind of see Sally's personality being so picky and everything, and then having the Rolodex of all of her movies alphabetical. I was like, she's a little high strung.
Well, he says she's high maintenance.
Yes.
She's the worst kind of high maintenance. She's high maintenance and doesn't know it.
Yeah.
Or doesn't admit it.
She doesn't, I think she just doesn't fully realize it.
Yeah.
And then she's like, no, I'm like anybody else. Cause
he's like on the side.
Right. Yeah.
I was like, that's not high maintenance. That's just a picky eater. I'm not high maintenance.
Yeah. Though I did fight. Okay. So would you say people were more into sports back in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s than they are now?
I think they were into sports differently.
Okay.
Because now...
More gung-ho, more...
Well, it's also now like... we can get so much more of it.
Yeah.
Thanks to social media and replays and all of this, you're just constantly... There's so much.
Yeah.
And there's, more sports now. Like...
more different types.
I wouldn't have had a soccer team in the 80s.
Right. Yeah.
And so, technically the Sounders became a team in 74, but, like MLS didn't exist. And so it was a different culture going to the games because that was the best way to get everything. Where now, honestly, when I especially go to a football game, I'm like, I feel like I'm missing so much because I don't get the replays. I can't see it close. I'm sorry. I can't pay for row 1.
Right.
Like, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I feel like I'm missing part of it. Mm-hmm. Whereas on the flip side, like baseball, I cannot watch on TV. It's way too slow. I go to game. I love it.
Yeah.
Give me some snacks. Like it's much faster pace.
Yeah.
So I feel like maybe just because of technology, sports have changed so much. Mm-hmm. Whereas when you were watching it on your, 18-inch fuzzy screen in a football game, you didn't get the replays and couldn't tell where the first down was, didn't have the nice green line on the field or white line on the field. Like, it was much better in person.
Yeah.
So you got more into it if you could go.
Yeah.
Whereas now you can kind of get sports content from everywhere, and Jersey Fridays are a thing, and that wasn't a thing back then. And
And see, for me, like I'm the opposite. I would much rather go to a game than to watch one on TV, only because like that energy to me is just more fun than sitting at home watching anything. And plus all the commercials, it makes everything 1,000 times longer. So
that's why I'm like, it depends on the sport. Because soccer, I don't get commercials.
Okay.
They don't exist.
Okay.
Besides halftime.
Right.
Because the game never stops.
Yeah.
So that is equally good on TV as in person. I like the vibe in person. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But on TV, I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. Because I don't get commercials. I get 15 minutes in the middle of the game, in which case I walk away.
Right.
Because that's it.
Right.
That's my 1 15-minute slot.
Gotta get it all done.
Yeah. Football kills me.
Yeah.
Because what is the average playtime of a football game?
Like 3 minutes, maybe.
I think it's closer to like 12. But you're gonna sit and watch 3 hours on TV for 12 minutes of play.
Oh, you mean like a total play time?
Yes, from hike to down.
I thought you were
hike to down, hike to down, hike to down.
Yeah.
It's like 12 minutes of playtime.
Yeah, no.
Whereas, so that's why you get so many commercials on TV because the play is constantly stopping.
Right.
So again, I would prefer to watch football in person, but it's way too damn expensive, and the stadium is way too far away.
Right. But I also do feel that like the stadiums don't get as full nowadays as they used to.
Depends on the stadium.
Okay.
I mean, despite being awful, like the Seahawks sell out their stadium consistently.
Okay.
But then like obviously the Chiefs have been doing awesome, and they have no problem filling Arrowhead.
Yeah.
But then I think some of the others kind of struggle.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why Tampa Bay is not rebuilding their stadium. Sorry, I didn't mean to twist that knife.
And it's the Tampa Bay, their baseball team. The Rays, not football or hockey.
They're doing well in hockey.
Yeah. The Lightning do really well, and the Buccaneers, as much as I would love to say they're amazing, they're not always. But yeah, the Rays aren't doing it because, like, again, like this city is just like, we don't have enough people that want to come and this and that. And I'm like, you're going to have that in North Carolina? Okay.
Sure. Good luck.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, I think sports have just changed over time with technology.
For sure.
That, and again, especially football has become so ridiculously expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was a kid, I went to one Seahawks game, I think. We went to a lot of Mariners games.
Okay.
Because those you get 300 nosebleeds. Like, that was fairly cheap for a family of 4. I think we went to one Seahawks game.
Yeah.
Because, again, family of 4, we couldn't afford it. Plus food, plus parking, plus everything else. And prices have not gotten any better.
No, definitely not. I got really lucky as a kid because my dad worked for Coca-Cola. He was a pretty high manager. Right. And he, like, with Coca-Cola, because they serviced the Rockies Stadium. They were a sponsor there. So they would get free tickets. Constantly. So he'd always have tickets, and I was homeschooled. So even better, we'd always go, Mom's like halfway through the day or whatever, she'd be like, you know what, we're leaving. Let's get in the car. So we'd all pack up and we'd go visit my dad at his work because they had vending machines with all the 20-ounce bottles in it for 25 cents. Nice. And at the time, you could bring your own stuff in.
Yeah.
And so we would bring our own soda and everything with us, and we'd have a bag full of snacks. And I would literally sit there on all of the sidelines, wherever. My dad had tickets for that day, and I would read a book and suntan. It was literally me at a baseball game for forever until I totally got into more of the sport. But
yeah.
yeah.
No, with Boeing, when Tim worked for Boeing in DC, there was a Boeing box there. We went to a couple of times.
Okay.
Yeah, I can think of at least once, but I think we went a couple of times. And then in St. Louis, Emerson, who we worked for, was a huge sponsor there. So we got to go to the box several times. They would lottery up tickets all over. And so we went to the box a couple times. And then one of the times they were like, oh, sorry, the box is sold out. We're going to give you our, what do they call them, like green seats or something like that? Yeah, we were 2 rows behind home plate. We were on TV the entire time.
Nice.
I took a screenshot of it when I got home. I went back to the game and like, there we are. Not paying attention. No.
So funny.
And it was fascinating that we went with some local friends, and we were, she and I were like, you can count the seeds that he has in his back pocket, like the sunflower seeds. Like, that's a big guy. Like, they're so much bigger when they're close. I was like, oh boy. Versus when they're on TV, they all look tiny.
Right.
So we were laughing the whole time.
Yeah.
Great game. Burned to a crisp.
Baseball pants that close. Amazing. Just say. Anyways, so you should always date your spouse. Let's just put that out there as I'm talking about baseball pants.
I mean, better than Billy Crystal's jogging pants.
Oh my gosh.
Yikes.
Those pants. Woof.
Little chicken legs.
I mean, and the fact that like he was doing that.
The speed walking.
Yeah, but the speed walking with the whole booty hip shake thing. Water does it a lot, and it's the funniest thing ever to watch.
That's funny.
Yeah. But when they talk about like, oh, nobody like stays married because they do this, they do that. You're not supposed to date your spouse. Yes, you are.
Yes, you are. Yes.
Yep. Let's see here. Imagining.
I think you're going the same place I was about to go.
Imagining dogs flossing their teeth with the other dog's hair.
Okay, you took that a step further.
So
I was going to ask, what would you do if you were on a date and the guy reached across the table, plucked a piece of hair, and started flossing his teeth? What would you do?
I probably would have been like,
Check,
and then
please.
like dumped my water on them, maybe, because that's gross. You need a shower after that. But could you imagine dogs doing this?
Now, in fairness, they didn't actually do it in the movie. She just explained it.
Yeah.
So I guess a dog wouldn't have to. But it'd be really funny. Oh, man, if whatever dog played Sally was a really short-haired dog. It's like, wait a minute.
Stick the paws all the way in there.
Get one of those little helper things. You put the floss between the little and the little Y. Like,
yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, my God. As soon as she said that, I was like, oh, what? I would have no words.
I know, right?
I don't go climb out the bathroom window at that point. Like,
so gross.
I don't know.
Ew. Yeah, no. That would have been a I'm sorry, but I'm not paying for this meal because that was gross, and I'm going to need therapy, and I'll pay for that.
Yes.
So,
no, you're going to pay for that too.
Right. But in the cafe, they have Meg Ryan taking her turkey or her chicken, whatever, off of her sandwich.
This was killing you.
It was on her sandwich originally, I think.
Yes,
and
she didn't want everything else. So she took the bread and then put the turkey back on and then ate that.
It was a lot as she's like pulling it off, but then the sandwich was super thin. At the very beginning, as she puts it towards her mouth, there's no meat on it. It's just 2 pieces of bread.
It was
literally
there, but
looked
it was
like
very
that.
little.
And then
it's hanging out the side.
Yeah, and then it's hanging out the side.
And then it's not. And then there's 2 bites, and then there's 1 bite. Yeah.
But there's so much turkey still on the plate, or chicken, or whatever it was that they ended up using, or ham. And I'm just like, what is she doing? Like, she doesn't want to eat the meat? Like, she's just taking it all off.
She's ordering a sandwich and then making her own sandwich.
Yeah, but it just
I don't
looked
see the
like
problem
she took
here.
it all off. It was so weird. But aside from that, I was like, Poppy would have totally caught all of those.
Yes.
Attention to detail was not
Yes.
there, and Poppy Lively should have been there too.
Should have
to get
caught
all
the sandwich.
Exactly.
Like there's one other thing that I caught later. It was her hair or something like that. I can't remember what it was.
Yeah.
I was like, oh.
Yeah.
You didn't have the continuity catcher on scene like we do now.
Yeah. Well, and I think too that's gotten more to be a thing. Like, yeah, it was somebody was there to kind of like watch those kinds of things too, I think, back, in later movies. But I don't think most people notice that kind of stuff, like, unless you really are.
Well, I know from listening to other podcasts about how things are made, I know that, like, I can't remember what role it is. It might be the second AD, that, like, that was their job, followed the actors around. They're like, no, you're holding the pen in your other hand on the last take, and, like, would catch the smallest things.
Yeah, okay.
And I was like, that's impressive. Like, it's really impressive. You have somebody who really knows what they're doing. Or even the next day of, like, nope, those aren't the earrings you were wearing. Go back. Like, your hair and makeup screwed up. Like, could catch everything.
I like catching those things in book series. So
interesting.
I've noticed things sometimes where, like, because when you do a longer pause between your next book and things like that, you don't always catch the fact that you may have left a, you call them threads, like those little story threads. You may have left one in a book and then you try to pick it up or something, but it's not quite.
Or like in Harry Potter, there's a broom shed in book 1 and not in book 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, the broom's in his room. Like, yeah.
So
little stuff like that you forget about.
Kind of, you forget about that. And usually there is a person that actually will take notes about where places or things are and where, like, they are placed specifically in your first book or your second book and your third and your fourth or whatever. And so you have that list of, okay, this is where it's supposed to be in my next book, like, and stuff like that. And sometimes, like, that doesn't happen. And it's fun for me to, like, catch that stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know, I'm a weirdo.
I enjoy it. I got to do a tier for the New York skyline.
Yeah.
Yeah, they intentionally, because it's a beautiful shot, when he gets out of her car at the trade centers.
Yep.
The trade towers between whatever that arch is. I didn't figure what that arch is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, oh, doesn't look like that anymore.
No,
That aged a little bit.
Yep.
And then him obviously going with her all the way to the gate. So I was like,
yes.
Yep, not a thing anymore. So I was kind of like, oh, tear.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that hits differently now.
Right.
There'll always be movies filmed pre 9/11 and post 9/11 where at the skyline you just look and you go, oof. Like, okay.
Yep.
That happened.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So again, back to the fake orgasm scene. The older lady at the very end of that scene,
God.
she's like, I'll have what she's having.
Yes.
Like, oh yeah, heck yeah. Let's do this.
Whatever little lemon meringue pie she went to or whatever afterwards.
Yeah.
Like, the whipped cream.
Okay.
I was like, oh my gosh, everyone looking at her and they're just not giving a crap.
Right.
It was amazing. Very Poppy.
Yes, very.
Like, I'm going to make a scene and not care.
Yep,
I was
for
like,
sure.
Nice.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep. So I have a goal one day to do Christmas in New York because it's so gorgeous and so pretty and all of that. And I really want to go ice skating and do all the fun Rockefeller tree and like all of that stuff. But
I'll show you some pictures after this.
Yeah.
We went, so when we lived in DC, pre-kids, my parents came out one year for Christmas and we went to New York for a day trip. It was like December 23rd or 26th. It was something right there.
Yeah.
And this is you got to the train station in Baltimore at 3 a.m. You were in New York by 7 a.m.
Yeah.
We walked down to the Statue of Liberty, did Statue of Liberty, came back, Ground Zero, got on the train, came up to Times Square, walked around Times Square, went to Rockefeller Center. 30,000 people touching you at every moment in time.
Yeah.
You could not move more than 5 feet
Yeah.
in 30 minutes. And so we like saw the tree. Hey, look, here's some quick pictures. And then GTFO.
Yeah.
You had to book the like ice skating like 5 years in advance.
Oh, wow.
Like
okay.
it was like no, you're not. You're not touching the ice tonight.
That's so funny.
Because there's not very many skaters. Like, I mean, there's like maybe 20 on the ice. Like it's very to make it look nicer. It's not very many people, so it's very hard to do around Christmas time.
Okay.
So we did the tree, and then we get back to walk to Empire State Building, which is really close, and then got back on the train like at 7 p.m. And you get back to Baltimore at take it like 11 p.m. or midnight or something like that. Go home and sleep for 2 days.
Right.
It was a fantastic trip. Like we had a great time. New York was stunning, and I wrote that down. I was like, New York Christmas is chaos and amazing.
Yeah.
The streets are never that clean.
Yeah.
I don't care what any movie shows you. The streets are never that clean because they just pile trash out front.
Yeah, for
There's
sure.
no management of trash.
Yeah.
I don't do cities. I don't like cities. I've been to New York 3 times and I'm good. Never again. Maybe for a Broadway show. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. But man, it took us probably like 2 hours to make the walk, the final like 2 blocks to Rockefeller Center.
Yeah.
Because you are so jam-packed with people.
Yeah.
And the streetlights aren't any difference. People are crossing. It's 100,000 people crossing in one crossing. It's like, oh God, are we going to make this one? Like, I don't know.
Right.
And you don't go when it says stop because the cabs don't care.
No, they don't.
Oh boy. So yeah, it was one of those that I'm like, I'm glad I can say I did it.
Yeah.
Never again.
Yeah.
It is way too many people.
Well, and I want to do the whole like Thanksgiving Day parade stuff too.
That would be
someday.
fun.
Yeah.
That would be fun.
I mean, it's like that dream of like, okay, Thanksgiving Day parade, Christmas, maybe a New Year's, like just because I think it would be cool to have that experience. Like I'm all about experiences. Mm-hmm. It's not about necessarily the place in a way. It's just like the experience of like getting to do that thing. So
that is another one. I think it was Tim's sister and I talked about one time, like it would be fun to, again, you have to do it a decade in advance.
For sure.
Is to get a room that overlooks Times Square on New Year's Eve.
Yeah.
And because I was like because in Times Square, everyone's wearing diapers, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
For sure.
I was like,
ugh. The parade too. Yeah.
Yeah. I think if you're towards the ends, if you're in the center, then yeah. But if you're more towards the ends, it's not quite as bad. But yeah, I was like, the only way I'm doing that is if I'm looking from a heated hotel room with a bathroom.
Right. Yeah.
Because otherwise that's a hard pass.
Yeah.
I've potty trained my entire house. I'm done.
Right.
So yeah, I was like, that would be kind of fun to go in with a bunch of people. It's still going to cost you $5,000 a piece for that one night to overlook Times Square on New Year's Eve. I was like, that would be kind of fun.
Yeah, for sure.
But otherwise, the standing around in a diaper for 2 daes, I can do without.
Right.
No, thank you. That's not an experience I need to have.
True. So the after sex bit between Harry and Sally.
Them talking about it or actually?
The actual like sex bit, but like the after.
The way you said that sounded like one word. It was funny. Sorry.
But the after portion of it where he's usually like up and out already and things like that, it just was so awkward.
It was so awkward.
Like he's like staring at the ceiling or whatever.
You know, he's laying there going, can I leave? Do I stay? Can I leave? Do I make tea? Can I stay?
Well, and I don't know if he knew what he should have been doing because he was just like, we're friends. We're like, this is not supposed to have happened and all these things. So I'm just like, it was so awkward. And then she gets so angry about him just jetting without like, at least he didn't say some lie because she does know him so well. Him.
He can't lie about having to go to cricket club or whatever.
Right. Squash. Let's go do this. That's what it was. But it was just like, I can kind of see why she was so angry, but at the same time, like, did you know him?
Yeah.
You know he wasn't going to stay.
Well, also, like, he had to go to work.
True.
Like, I mean, like,
yeah.
did you expect
and so did she, I suppose. Yeah.
I think she might have taken the day off.
Probably. But after that, like, they both call their...
That was amazing.
Jess and Marie, and they're just like, so...
They're the 2 times I think that they did the side-by-side phone calls both of them were amazing.
Oh yeah,
I was like, that was brilliant.
Yeah,
that was
and you don't
brilliant.
see things like that in a lot of movies nowadays
Not
either.
A ton.
No, So I was like, ooh, that's cool.
You just hear the other person,
Yeah.
and it like cuts back and forth.
Yeah.
Now the side by side, also like with her going to sleep and him not,
Yeah.
is very telling.
Well, and they also do it where you see the back of their head. And see, at first, when they first did it with that first phone call, and they're in their beds, but you're literally looking at their TV and the backs of their heads.
It looked like they were together.
It did. It looked like they were
yes.
together, and it looked like they were on a couch. But then they shoot to the bed, and I'm like, okay, cool.
Now I see what's
now
going
I
on
see
here.
it. Now I see the background of their walls, and then they shoot it back to the back side of the bed again, and I was like, oh, you can see the difference on the wall at that point too. Whereas the very first part, it was like,
You didn't notice it.
no, you didn't notice it. You just thought they were together on
Yeah.
the couch. And I think that's really cool, like, way
was
of
clever.
just like, yeah. Very.
That was very clever.
Yeah. But yeah, I think also that he realized after she decided to stop talking to him for a while and said goodbye and whatever on that last phone call, that he like that becoming friends with her actually brought him love and something more out of his life. Because like he was like, you can't be friends with somebody like that's of the opposite sex or whatever. And I don't think that's totally true.
I completely disagree with that. I was going to ask you later. We'll come back to that.
Okay. But I do think too that it's just kind of like he just finally realized, like, I've been friends with her for a long time. Like, I've loved her for so long. So I think that's kind of a cool aspect. And then he runs and all of that stuff.
That was very cliche.
Well, and the fact that the cab thing comes back to when Marie tells Sally, you're not going to get a cab at this time. Yeah.
Again, the streets were way too clean.
For sure.
And empty.
Yeah.
But way too
A
clean.
little too empty for me. But yeah.
There wasn't enough trash cans in the way for him to be going around.
Right, exactly.
Not even cans, piles of trash. Piles of trash. I hate New York. I'm sorry. It's so gross. And I mean, even her pulling out bottled water. Like,
Yeah. Well, and it sounded glass too. When she first sets it down, there's like a big thunk. And then she puts down the glasses that she puts the water into. And it's the same exact thunk. Like,
oh, weird.
Yeah. It sounded
Wonder
like
if
a
it's just how
glass
the mic caught it.
bottle.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't. It was one of those, just those plastic Aquafina, whatever it was.
Evian.
That's what it was. Yeah. But I was like,
I thought they
right.
made those in glass
Back in the
a
day.
long time ago. Yeah.
You couldn't drink tap water in a city.
No. I still don't drink just tap water. It's got to be filtered.
Yeah, but at least that's an option now.
True.
We're
Very
not
true.
buying a ton of glass or plastic bottles.
Right. Exactly. For sure.
Hopefully recycling.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was going to ask. Can guys and gals be friends?
I do think so. Like, I think it's one of those things where, like, you obviously have your own lines and stuff that you just, like, like, but yeah, like, we're all friends. Like, you know.
I was going to say, I think that maybe also shifts post-marriage, but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, 100%. Now, this is also coming from the person who grew up in a neighborhood of 10 boys, and I was basically the only girl.
Yep, for sure.
And then there were 2 girls. One was several years older than me, and one was several years younger than me, so we didn't really
hang out.
Yeah. But all the guys and me were all right, right in the middle.
Yep.
And so we were all good friends.
Yeah.
Never
I was
dated
always
any of them.
I was always one of the guys because I just like I had my cousin living with us, and I had 2 brothers, and so like out of the 3, I was the only, or out of the 4 of us, I was the only girl, and then all of us, like you said, there were really no girls in our neighborhood that were of anywhere close to my age.
Yeah.
And so I was just kind of always one of the guys. And Bob actually found out while we were in Wisconsin that I used to skateboard. He never knew that I skateboarded.
I did too.
I was showing.
I was terrible at it.
I freaking loved it. So there was a farm across the street from our house. And I convinced the farmer to let me have a bunch of the wood and stuff like that he would bring out every once in a while. And I made my own little pipes and whatnot.
That's
to like,
awesome.
do and trick. And I went and had mine professionally done at a skateboard shop and the whole 9 yards.
See, I quickly realized I wasn't very good at skateboarding. I was pretty good. I'll toot my own horn. I was really good at roller skating, but I wasn't great at skateboarding. But that's kind of also about the age I started to figure out I enjoyed fixing things.
Yeah.
So my brother would come to me and be like, hey, I got new wheels or got new bearings or I got new spacers or whatever. But cool. And I would take it apart and put it back together for him. Like I was constantly taking apart his skateboard, our bikes or whatever.
Yeah.
Roller skates. And that was kind of the age I was like, I just really enjoy taking stuff apart and putting it back together, which is a very engineering thing to do.
It is very.
And then went to college. That was, 16% female.
Yeah.
So again, I was with all guys and whatever.
Well, I find it interesting that you weren't great at skateboarding, but you're really good at snowboarding.
I was also really good at wakeboarding.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Wakeboarding is on your belly, though, isn't it?
No. You're thinking of boogie boarding.
Oh, okay.
Wakeboarding is behind a boat.
Oh,
so you either water ski or you wakeboard.
Yeah, okay.
I could not water ski if my life depended on it.
Okay.
Again, about the age with skiing, I realized I don't like my legs being able to go apart. My legs need to stay together.
That's true.
Whereas on a skateboard, your legs can still go apart.
Yes, they can. Yep.
So I think that self-assurance went away.
Yeah.
But I was like, and then in college, I was again, never dated anybody in my neighborhood group. Tim's the only guy I dated in my college group.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, I had a lot of guy friends.
I did too. Yeah. Yeah. I think that you can definitely be friends with a guy. I think too that it's just helpful when you're like, what it is like in your own brain of what it is that you want that relationship to be at that point. Mm-hmm. So
also where you are in life.
Yeah, for sure.
Like,
yep.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
Okay. Well, what'd you think of the movie?
Oh, it was cute.
Yeah.
I'm glad we watched it.
Yeah, me too.
It was very
definitely can't really see it as a switch over to dogs.
No.
But
I did kind of enjoy the tide, like the fact that there's no coming back from this, focuses on this movie. There's a lot of personality traits between Poppy and Sally.
Yeah.
But I was like, ooh, this is kind of a clever mix-up.
Yeah.
For Ann Garvin, the author.
Yeah.
To have put those two together. I was like, that's fascinating. That's really well done.
Well, and now I want to know what other movies the dogs would have made because now I'm like, okay, so we did classic rom-coms was the theme of what they were doing. And I'm like, okay, so what are we doing?
It's also the theme of the book.
Yeah.
So now we need to convince her to make a an action-based book with a new character, and it's based on Top Gun or something. And
right. Ooh.
Something Mission Impossible. Something I'm going with Tom Cruise here. I don't know why. Marvel there. Do Captain America with dogs.
Right.
It goes in as a little tiny little poodle and comes out a bulldog.
We need to find out what happens with Alan and Poppy. I really need a second book to finalize.
That's where they get caught up in some crazy bank heist in LA and
oh my God, yes. Does Robin go to nursing school? Does she decide to sell the house? I want to know all the things about them. Okay.
That's funny.
Well,
how about you?
I liked it. I really enjoyed it. I can see why it was a popular movie. Mm-hmm. And I've always loved Meg Ryan in her movies. I think there's only really one that I just didn't care for. Don't ask me the name because I don't remember. Okay. But
clearly it was memorable.
Yeah. But other than that, I've really always liked her. And so I think You've Got Mail is definitely my favorite out of all of them. I've seen it. One. Yeah. Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan. Sleepless in Seattle.
I have seen that one.
Yes, that's a good movie too.
I'm from Seattle. I better have seen that one.
Hopefully. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. And now
you can go visit that
houseboat,
houseboat, by the way.
Ooh, nice. Okay.
FYI.
Okay. Yeah, so.
No, it was cute. It was really good.
Yeah. Me and my Harry Potter to represent our next book. So we are done with our little pause and we're headed into book 4 of Harry Potter next. So we'll take a pause for a week and then come back with Harry Potter.
Yes.
So 2 weeks
Yes,
from now.
my brain is done.
Yeah. So August 25th, the first episode of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Which is Cassie's favorite book and movie. So she is stoked for us to be doing this one. And
it's one of my favorites.
One of the longest ones.
Fifth book is the longest book.
Okay.
But it is, compared to the first 3, it is probably double the size, if not triple.
Okay.
Yeah, it's real big.
Okay.
I'm also excited to start reading it again because I just literally tonight finished Prisoner of Azkaban. Half-Blood Prince is the fifth book. I'm jumping ahead here. Just finished Prisoner of Azkaban with Thing 1 tonight. So we're going to watch the movie sometime this week. I'm very excited about it. She's like, Mommy, you better get me a chocolate frog to watch the movie with. And I was like, I will find you another chocolate frog. So we're going to watch that sometime this week. And
nice.
I got to decide if we're going to jump into book 4 or not. I think we probably will.
Okay. Well, Water's been asking me to start book 1, and I'm refusing to allow her to touch the special one from London. So
we need to borrow a copy of it.
Almost picked. So they had book 2, and she's like, "That's okay. We can get this one at the bookstore I sent you today."
Yeah.
And I was like, "We don't have book 1." She goes, "Yes, we do, Mommy. Yes, we do." I was like, "We're not touching that book.
The pretty one.
We are not touching it. It is going to sit on a shelf and be pretty."
Thing
it's not going to be opened.
Thing 1 knows she is only allowed to look. She looks through it.
Yeah.
In our room on our bed.
Yeah.
Like she always like, Mommy, can I grab that book? I'm like, yep, you can. And she sits with it and she puts there's a little film pieces of paper she puts back and like she's really careful with it.
But your child
is not
is very gentle, very sweet, very just basically angelic in a lot of ways.
Except for when she threw her brother off her back tonight and he face planted on the floor. Besides that, yes.
Okay. She's very, very like OCD in a lot of ways.
She knows that if something is special and delicate,
yes,
besides her little brother, she knows how to be careful with it.
Yes.
I can trust her with that.
My child, bull in china shop. And typically I can kind of sort of maybe trust her in like doing
controlled settings.
Yes, in controlled settings. But yes, this book will not be opened by her until she's a wee bit older. So she definitely wants to start reading it. But
if you want to borrow the picture book, let me know.
Okay, will do.
Because that kind of helps a little bit.
Okay. But so in 2 weeks, we'll see you back for Harry Potter book 4. See you later. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us for this episode. If you had fun, please follow, download, and review this podcast on your preferred listening platform.
If you're ready for the next chapter, join the spoiler-free conversation on our Facebook group. Search You Haven't Read What? The podcast.
Or on Instagram and YouTube for exclusive videos and behind-the-scenes content. Have a great week.
And we'll catch you on the next page.